So people should remember that all of that was done under the umbrella of what has been a pretty challenging year to undertake offshore operations and activities. So on behalf of the INFOMAR board and Sean and myself and the heads of organizations of the Marine Institute and Geological Survey, huge thanks to all of the team, the shore support team, the field team, the vessel support teams that have done all of this amazing work during let's say a challenging era, which hopefully we'll never have to face again in terms of the constraints and difficulties and with logistics. So very quickly, you've all seen the agenda at this point, so I'll just get straight into the topic I have to cover on behalf of myself and Sean, which is data research and innovation activities. And I'm just going to give you sort of a whistle-stop tour through a couple of the key things we're doing. I couldn't begin to cover all of the project activities during the timeline. Just for people who might be new to INFOMAR, it's a DECC funded National Seabed Mapping Programme, jointly managed and delivered by Marine Institute and Geological Survey Ireland, and it's due completion end 2026. So we are at a point now where we're sort of putting the countdown clock on to see what we can do in the next few years to really wrap this up and to secure the legacy of what's been effectively 30 years of mapping that the government of Ireland have invested in over various initiatives, PAD, offshore, looking at the EZ boundaries, the National Seabed Survey and INFOMAR, the more recent programme. We really want to maximise the impact and return on investment of the state in terms of what we get engaged in by way of research, data products, development, etc. And so, yeah, we're looking towards the end of 2026 and really starting to hone in now on sector-specific data products and research activity, trying to get a bit more strategic alignment with what we get involved in. And we're working towards a program review, which will be a full-on assessment of the impact and value of INFOMAR to date, which will be done in 2023. And subject to a positive outcome, we will continue to the end of the project in 2026. And we are on target and confident that we will get there. And we're sort of looking forward in the context of a transition from this baseline mapping we've always referred to, which is the foundation of all sort of management planning and infrastructural development requirements, towards the sort of a time series monitoring approach to what do we need to revisit in the future and follow up with future sort of time series mapping and monitoring. Some of the data and products work that the team have been doing, there's been a significant amount of work happening in the background. Despite the small number of people we are in the program between the two organizations. This is a sub-bottom profile viewer. There's been some development work done. This was launched at the ORE webinar we had earlier in the year. And there's work happening ongoing in developing sort of new content and adding new data and reformatting files, archive files to contribute to this service. But it allows a web map service clickable link into these composite maps, which show you the sub-bottom profile data and the bathymetric and backscatter data in a single chart. That's a powerful tool for development purposes. The seabed classification maps have been really vastly improved, and there's been a huge work ongoing by the team in analysing and interpreting the multi-beam data. And we're starting to look at technology solutions now as to how we can add in imagery and benthic data, video data, that could be sort of the start layer of a time series of imagery and benthic products on top of the seabed classification maps. These points that you see are clusters of sediment samples at this point in time. There's also been a huge amount of work by the data folk behind the scenes, and in particular, the Marine Institute have been accredited as a National Oceanographic Data Centre by the International Oceanographic Data and Information Exchange. And that's resulted in 8 INFOMAR data sets having fully worked up process flows, which allow us to be able to, let's say, develop and defined reproducible products. And all of this is backed up by, as I say, data flows and works flows and procedures. And this has been done across the two organizations. We're doing joint quality assessment of some of the products and data. In terms of offshore renewable energy development, OREDP2 has been supported. GSI are developing the GIS function there, and we're contributing data. So there's weekly meetings to support the activities behind the scenes to provide the data resources to support offshore renewable energy. Under research and innovation, we are involved in various activities. I'll go through these very quickly. Action 23 of Harnessing Our Ocean Wealth called for INFOMAR completion and third level capacity build. And so Janine will talk to the INFOMAR MSc module that's been developed and delivered to address this and to grow the capacity and the knowledge in this space. We've been involved in the European EMODNet framework for many years now in terms of bathymetry, habitats, geology data compilation. GSI are going to present on the Cherish project, which is an Ireland-Wales program, coastal and marine heritage focused. Sea Monitor is a project where we've done some baseline mapping to support the laying of a telemetry network between Ireland and Wales. And that's looking at species migration for management plans, development between Malin Head and Scotland. I think I said Wales accidentally there. The European Space Agency coastal vulnerability work that GSI have been doing will be presented by Javi this morning. Mission Atlantic, I have a slide on in a moment. We have funded a postdoc and a Cullen PhD on geomorphology and seabed classification, and that's with UCC. So we're collectively working with various research partners, but that's just one of the specific project areas. And we have some European Maritime Fisheries Fund projects coming to an end this year, which we've done a lot of work on. Two in particular, the SBIR Seaweed Resource Assessment work will be presented by Fabio. And I have a slide on the coastal sediment topic in a minute. Just very quickly on Mission Atlantic, there's 3 project areas we manage lead the benthic mapping work package for, and this is about developing a strategic framework for Atlantic bathymetry and benthic habitat mapping to support integrated ecosystem assessment. And it involves seafloor characteristics being led by Plymouth, where they're doing habitat mapping layers, and in Norway, IMR are doing future sort of distribution of benthic communities based on oceanographic models and predictive models, climate models. So yeah, that's a very quick run through that. There's some tools we're hoping to develop here, which I mentioned already. One is this concept of being able to click into a map, select an ROV transect, access the metadata, and basically drill in to replay the high-def video footage. And this would be hopefully a base layer, foundation layer that we can add to in future years. And we are trying to cast the net wide to add in other Irish data that's been acquired by the research community. This follows work that was done by Max Kozachenko helped us with this on an EMFF project previously. Very quickly on upcoming events and publications, it would be remiss of me not to mention the fabulous publication by the Cork University Press, Coastal Atlas of Ireland, which INFOMAR contributed various articles to, or papers to. We have our webinar today, obviously, which is a replacement for the in-person seminar we normally have. We have INFOMAR International coming up in February 21. You'll hear more about that shortly. We have a remote hydrography conference and exhibition, which is linked with that, which Dave Parker will speak to. This is my last slide. In terms of where we're going, we're looking at developing the legacy, and we're considering how we can support industry and communities, government and research. And I guess all of this really hinges on the people that work on the program in order to develop the research partners, the capacity build, the time series data products we need to support all this. So it would be remiss of me not to put a huge thank you to all concerned. Just to mention in passing that one of our key staff in GSI is going to be departing shortly. So we want to relay huge thanks to Ronan on behalf of Marine Institute and Geological Survey for all his support. That's it. And I will stop sharing. And over to you all. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Tommy. That was a very nice couple of talks there. A really interesting talk by Aileen there on the results of both the MI and GSI mapping operations. And as usual, some fantastic seabed imagery coming out of that. And again, a great overview there by Tommy on the sheer breadth of extra work and projects that take place outside of the core mapping program as well. So I'd like to introduce the next group of speakers. This is under the category of National Seabed Mapping Capacity Build. So education, technology and infrastructure is the umbrella there. And we'll have Janine Guinan from the GSI speaking about INFOMAR postgraduate education development. So this INFOMAR MSc module that's been running for the last couple of years, that's been a major development on that front. We'll have Aidan Fitzgerald from RV Ops in the MI, talking about the new MI research vessel that's going to be coming online, the RV Tom Crean, so that's very exciting. And we'll have Kieran Craven from the Cherish project, of which GSI is a partner, talking about developments and collaboration in coastal monitoring technology.